My dear friends, welcome to the 48th class of the Bhagavad Gita. We are studying chapter 6, and in the last class we studied from shlokas number 6 to 12. So we are going to revise them first before we move on with shloka number 13. So in shloka number 6, Krishna says to Arjuna, "For him whose self, the ego, has been conquered by the self, capital S self, that is the soul. The self or the soul is the friend of the little self, but verily the self or the soul behaves inimically as an enemy towards the little self that is not subdued." And of course, there is a parallel in the Mahabharata where we know that Krishna takes the side of, is the friend of Arjuna and the Pandava army of good qualities. On the other hand, Krishna stands in opposition to Duryodhana and the Kaurava clan, which is made up of vices. And in ourselves, so what does this mean to us? To us, it means that as we recognize and gain the truth that we are the Atman, and side by side, we kind of refine our ego, we train our ego to look at the infinite. We transcend the ego to go beyond the little I-ness. When we do these things parallelly, then our own soul becomes the friend of the refined or the transformed ego. On the other hand, if we utilize our ego to get into the mesh of this world, to go towards the vices, to have more and more desires, attachments, and involve ourselves in little petty pleasures which will create more and more karma and desires, if we go in that direction, then the soul is unable to become a friend of our degenerate ego, and therefore automatically, because it cannot side or become a friend of our degenerate ego, it is automatically standing as an opposition or an opposer to the degenerate ego. So our job as devotees or as seekers of truth is to refine our ego and then transcend our ego so that the ego realizes its soul self, and the soul behaves as a friend, as one's own. So do we really feel that Krishna is our own? He has already promised that he is the friend of those. But are we living with that conviction? This is very important to understand. Ask yourself, do I really think Krishna is walking beside me? If not, that means you need to communicate and to have more communion with the divine self. Because the truth is that we are made of Krishna consciousness. That whether we know it or not, Krishna can never leave us. Whether we know it or not, we are children of Krishna in a sense. So it's only our realization that is lacking. God, the absolute reality, and God, the Sagun Brahman. So both the Nirgun Brahman, that is the formless infinite God, as well as while creation is happening, while we are as a created being, till then in Sagun Brahman means God as the created form. In both these forms, God is always with us. It's just that our realization is lacking. Therefore, our practice needs to get deepened so that not only do we realize God's presence always in all space and time, but also we realize him as our friend. And that will happen when we have purified our mind, when we have lessened and modified our desires, when all our actions are going Godward, and all of this, and of course with love. So when we are living this life with gratitude, with love, in a disciplined way, self-controlled and self-restrained way, and side by side trying to elevate ourselves, then automatically Krishna, without saying, is our friend. A friend that is nearer than the nearest, and dearer than the dearest, nearer and dearer than our own thoughts and our emotions, because he himself has actually become us. Okay. In shloka number 7, Krishna continues. He says, "The tranquil sage, victorious over the ego or the little self, is ever fully established in the Supreme Self. Whether he encounters cold or heat, pleasure or pain, praise or blame." So again, he is saying that all those who have risen over the duality and have stabilized themselves in the non-dual Atman or Brahman, automatically, because they are now standing in the Advait sense of their being, they are standing at the point of non-duality, they have become that witness consciousness or pure awareness, that they automatically, when they are going through duality, it does not have any effect on them. They know that all of this is a dream picture, and therefore their reactive process has changed. So they have refined themselves so much, they have developed and trained their minds so much that their reactivity to the world has changed. For them also, the sun shines as bright and is as hot. For them also, chilly air is chilly air. So, but they do not complain. They don't mind. Why? Because they have gone to the point where they can see that this is a transient a presentation in the form of a movie, and that they, the soul, are much above this. Now, this does not mean that all those who start to acknowledge their soul presence will start walking bare clothes, and no, not necessarily. But we know in Jainism, in Buddhism, in and many Naga sadhus and all, they are completely no, they just live in their skin. Is because, and the heat and the cold doesn't affect if they're advanced. If they are truly advanced yogis, then the heat and the cold does not affect them, and it does not matter to them. The fact that they are not wearing clothes, again, the praise and blame does not affect them. So they have gone to the point. I'm talking only of those who have actually attained some level of realization. Of course, there are many, as Master has already told us, there are many mendicants who are just leaving their homes. They don't want to fulfill their duties. I'm not talking about those set of people. I'm talking about advanced yogis. And it is true. It is because they are established in non-duality. Therefore, duality does not touch them. In shloka number 8, he says, Krishna is continuing, he says, the yogi who is gladly absorbed in truth and self-realization is said to be indissolubly united to spirit. Unchangeable, conqueror of his senses, he looks with an equal eye on earth, gold, and stone. So again, he realizes, because he has transcended this motion picture, he has realized that everything in this world that is happening is a projection of light and shade over the substratum of Brahman. And once he realizes, he knows their true nature, therefore he is neither attracted to gold and is nor repelled by mud. He knows, not he thinks, but he knows clearly that gold and mud and stone, they are actually just the one same divine essence. So again, for us, this is the ideal thing, but for us also, we must start to see beneath the layer of superficial differences. We must go deeper into ourselves to be able to recognize the oneness of all things and of all people. For us, it is important that we go deep in our own consciousness, and then only we will be able to see that oneness which connects you and me even across ether, across countries. Some of you are like 8,000 miles away, but yet it's something connects us, not physically, and not just, of course, senses, the voice is there, but there is something even beyond the senses which connects us, the fabric of life itself. And that oneness we have to feel as we go deeper into our own consciousness. Shloka number 9. He is a supreme yogi who regards with equal mindedness all men, patrons, friends, enemies, strangers, mediators, hateful beings, relatives, the virtuous and the ungodly. So again, an extension of the previous shloka, that he is able to see the oneness behind all this variety of people that we see. We also see there's so many people around, but we see the differences. We behave according to how people behave with us. So we have a lot of work to do on ourselves. We have to go deeper in our consciousness. And of course, we discussed that this does not mean that this person is a fool. He knows the good from the bad. He knows the right from the wrong. But he can go beyond the right, wrong, and the good, bad, and see the one light of God shining through all people. And people who are, you can actually, as you grow spiritually, as you look into people's eyes, you can see their superficial nature, yes, but beyond that, if you connect with your heart, you can see in their eyes a depth which is not normally observed by just a passerby. So, and also Master and Swamiji would say that you should look deeply into the other person's eyes, or connect through the spiritual eye, being present here. So don't look here and there when you're talking to people. Connect with your heart, connect with your eyes, and then only you will be able to also intuitively grasp their intent. Suppose you do not know those people, and you want to know whether they're the right or the wrong people on the transactional level, then also if you connect with them at a deeper level and also through your heart, then you will know whether you should create your, if you're a business in business, then whether you should do a business deal with them or not, or whether you should employ them in your company or not, or how much you should relate to them, or whether you should be indifferent to them. Because as Patanjali has said in his Yoga Sutras, that if people are wicked, you should rather be indifferent towards them. You should be happy in other people's happiness, and you should share. If they are sorrowful, then you should be compassionate, you should be friendly with people. But if they are wicked people, then Patanjali clearly says that you must be indifferent to them. So therefore, at different levels we function in this world. Since we are in the body, at this transactional level, we do try to work with our mind and see what is, who is good for our company in the sense people around me. And also let's remember, it's important to really have good, joyful people around you, because it is said that you become an aggregate of the 5 most important people in your life. So if you think, most people will say, my family is like that, and my colleagues are like that, and my friends are unspiritual. But then the 5 most important people can be the gurus. Let Yogananda ji, Sri Yukteswar ji, let Lahiri Mahasaya, let Mahaavatar Baba ji, let Krishna be your company. There is no excuse actually. Okay, so whoever is the most important 5 people in your life, you will become like them. So it is very important that you do assess at a transactional level, although deep inside, even if they are wicked, you should give them your love and blessings from a distance though. And then understand that oneness, but play the role, because we are playing in duality. So you continue to play the role. Okay. Then shloka number 10, Krishna says, free from ever hoping desires and from the craving of possessions, with the heart controlled by the soul, by single pointedness, retiring alone to a quiet place, the yogi should constantly try to unite with the soul. So here starts the process. So in shloka number 10, Krishna starts to explain the process of meditation. That of course you have to control the senses, of course you have to be single pointed, but then you need a quiet place. And so at the physical level, we go into solitude, we keep a place in our home where we sit and meditate. But eventually, metaphysically explained, Master says true solitude is when you are in the soul, that aloneness of the soul, which is blissful. So aloneness is not that loneliness. With that aloneness is the absolute truth within yourself, the character of which is bliss itself. So that is the real solitude. But before we can achieve that solitude, we at least need to have some quiet time of our own. In shloka number 11, Krishna says, the yogi's seat should be in a clean place, should be firm, neither too high nor too low, and covered first with kusha grass, then with a deer or tiger skin, and then with a cloth. So, of course, we studied last time that these layers are physically important, but actually when Yogananda ji is talking about seating, he's actually talking of the seating of the prana and the mental attention. And kusha grass represents the Muladhara chakra, and the skin represents the Swadhisthana chakra, and the cloth represents the Manipur chakra. And the yogi is seated not too high and not too low, means he's actually seated in the heart chakra at the level of the anahat. And so one must understand that eventually, metaphysically, the yogi is trying to elevate his consciousness from the lower chakras and taking it to the upper chakras. And through the upper chakras, he can finally go towards enlightenment and freedom, final freedom, liberation. Shloka number 12. Established on that seat, concentrating the mind on one point, controlling the activities of the chitta and the senses, let him practice yoga for self-purification. So what do we mean by self-purification? Is that when our mind is restless, when our mind is running out to grab things of this world, then it becomes impure, because it is not the proper place of the mind to be. If the proper place is to be with the soul, to be in the soul, to be directed towards the soul. So as long as the mind is running outwards, as long as our energy and prana is going outwards into the world, till then it cannot be so pure. Just for example, if there is a beautiful lake and there is a mountain in front of it, and there are two things required for you to be able to see the reflection of the mountain inside the lake. One is that the water has to be very clear, and the second is that there have to be no ripples on the water surface. If both these conditions are not met, the reflection will not be there. So similarly, if our mind is always running out, if our prana is not settled, if our mind is not free from outward desires, till then the reflection of the soul will not come in the lake of our mind. And therefore, it is important that we do whatever we can, and especially starting with yamas and niyamas of spiritual life, that we clean the lake of our mind, and then with the asana, pranayam, and pratyahar practice, we actually go into single pointed focus where the ripples of the mind are slowly stilled, and we reach to the point of yoga's chitta vritti nirodha, where there is no ripple or movement in the stillness of the mind or the lake of the mind. And when that is achieved, then automatically soul realization or self-realization or God realization happens instantly there and then. So this brings us to the next shloka, which is shloka number 13, and we are going to study that today. Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayanchalam sthiram samprekshaya nasikagram swa dishashchanavalokayan. दृढ़ता के साथ मेरुदंड, ग्रीवा और सिर को सीधा एवं स्थिर रखते हुए योगी को अपनी नासिका के अग्रभाग भ्रू मध्य पर दृष्टि रखनी चाहिए और उसे अनेक दिशाओं में नहीं देखते रहना चाहिए. Firmly holding the spine, neck and head erect and motionless, let the yogi focus his eyes at the starting place of the nose, the spot between the two eyebrows. Let him not gaze around in various directions. So this is the next step that Krishna says, another step to meditation. He's told us how to sit, pick up a quiet place, then how to sit, where to look. And this actually shloka is all about the meditative pose, about how to keep the spine. The spine should be erect, and erect does not mean a stiff spine. Erect means a relaxed spine maintaining the natural curves that are there of the cervical spine, of the dorsal and the lumbar spine. The natural curves should be maintained, and it should be relatively stable and erect. After that, he also, Master of course explains us then how your shoulders should be. The shoulders should be open, they should be backwards so that the Anahat chakra is open. Then for the hands, he has told us to keep our hands at the junction of thighs and abdomen, palms facing upwards. And then he has told us where to look, at the point between the eyebrows, at the starting point of the nose. And then he says, don't look here and there. Don't divert your attention. So as many times, so of course for a starting person, it's difficult to look at the point between the eyebrows. Therefore, when we start our meditation, we say just start looking upwards. Why do we say that we must look upwards? Is of course because we know that the position of the eyes is directly linked to the position of our where our attention is. So a low face facing, if our head is downwards and we are looking downwards, then we are working more in the subconscious level. And if I'm looking straight at you in your eyes, then I'm more in the conscious world. But when I raise my eyelids, then automatically it is easier for me to go to the superconscious state. So to begin with, we can go towards a little upliftment of our eyeballs. But beyond that, if you can, and slowly over months to years, one can focus at the point between the eyebrows and then gaze there deeply. And as many times as you find that your gaze falls down or your mind starts to scatter, as many times you must gently bring it back and start gazing at the point between the eyebrows. Okay. Then, and also Master says, now this, once the yogi takes this position, then Master says he becomes ready to fight the battle. Which battle are we talking about? He is sitting in a meditative pose. What is the battle he is fighting? He is fighting a major battle, especially at the astral level. Because what is trying to happen is his energy normally, which goes down from the brain to the spinal canal and then through the senses into the outside world. What is the yogi doing? He is battling against, he is consciously withdrawing the energy from the outside world. He is consciously trying to to bring the energy in the astral spine, the core of the body, and he is actually trying to raise the energy. So this is the battle that the yogi is fighting, and Master says in this position the yogi is all set and ready to fight this battle. And therefore the importance of position, because this facilitates the movement of prana inwards and upwards. And also we know the asana is the third step, the third limb of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. Therefore it is important that our bodily pose be it says sukham sthiram. It should be stable and it should be comfortable also. You don't necessarily have to sit in lotus pose if you cannot, because we don't want that a mind should be engaged with body and bodily discomfort or pain. We want to forget the body and we want to raise our energy and uplift the mind. Therefore, sukham sthiram asanam. So sit in a comfortable position, but your spine should be straight. And then also he goes into the science of explaining that how we can fix our gaze at the spiritual eye. And he says normally, he gives the example of a car. Like when you turn the switch of a car, both the headlights are turned on together. So similarly, he is saying in the brain, both two nerves are going to the orbit. So we have optic nerve for each orbit, and in a normal state of consciousness, which is the conscious living state, as we are awakened state, and I wouldn't say the awakened state, the waking state, the daily waking state. In that, what is happening is nerve currents are going through the optic nerves into both eyeballs, and both eyeballs are then creating that binocular vision which we are able to see. But what the yogi does is he, by concentrating at the point between the eyebrows and the area of the prefrontal cortex, he is able to unite the currents which are going into the two optic nerves as one channel of energy, and therefore he is able to see his eye at the spiritual eye, and that spiritual eye is actually a reflection of the medulla, means the negative pole of the Agya chakra is actually projected and seen here as the spiritual eye, and we will go into the discussion as to what happens. So, and then he goes on to say that as the meditator is looking here, so what is going to happen? Of course, first he feels that there is darkness behind closed eyes. He may feel a spaciousness, and then he may see some lights. And he said the color of the light depends on what predominant thoughts the person has. And because all thoughts are like frequency, and colors are also frequency. So according to the general thought pattern of the person, that person starts to see certain lights, may or may not, but can see. And then finally he sees a white light. So this is the experience of so many people. When people come to learn meditation, even in the first attempt or second attempt, some people report seeing so many lights. It could be blue light, could be white, it could be general yellow light, it could be just darkness as well. It could be just small, tiny shining stars in a smoky background. It could be any of these experiences. So he is mentioning that actually these are true, and these you will encounter them as you focus at the point between the eyebrows. And then he says, as you keep focusing, in time, the yogi will see the perfect formation of the spiritual eye, a dark opal blue globe within a quivering ring of flame. Gradually, by deep concentration, an extremely brilliant white star occasionally glimmers in the center of the blue. The star is the gateway through which consciousness must pass to attain oneness with spirit. It requires time and calm practice to steady the light of the intuitive astral eye. It takes deeper and longer practice to see the star. It requires greater realization to hold the perception of the star, and it takes mastery in meditation to march the consciousness valiantly triumphant through the starry gate of light. After the devotee is able at will to see his astral eye of light and intuition with open as well as closed eyes, and to hold it steady indefinitely, he will eventually attain the power to look through it into eternity, and through the starry gateway, he will sail into omnipresence. So step by step, Master has explained. We may think that we are much far away from what Master is saying, but we never know when this experience will come to us. So it's just like, Swamiji used to say, suppose there is a nail in the wooden door in your home and you want to take out that nail. Now you hold that nail and you are trying to pull it out and you do not know the exact length of the nail. So you keep pulling, you keep pulling, you keep pulling, and suddenly it just comes out. So you cannot predict. So don't think that all these ideas are far-fetched, all these experiences are far-fetched. Here I am, poor little thing. I can't even sit for a long time. I cannot, even come to Hong Sau practice very deeply, or I'm not very regular with. So of course, I'm not saying that you can be casual about your practice, not at all, because right now you're supposed to be giving your 100% out of the 25% equation. So we know that 25% effort is the disciple's effort, 25% is the effort of the guru on behalf of the disciple, and 50% is God's grace. But when we say 25% of the disciple means is 100%, we have to give it our all. If we want to be free in this lifetime, if we want to be a Jivan Mukta, then we must give it our all. And saying that, oh, I can't do this, or don't have time, who is it helping? You're going to be stuck for a longer time. So it's up to you to decide. Anybody who is serious in their search for God must follow with discipline and regular sincerity and devotion all these practices. And then once you are a bit regular and sincere, then don't expect specific results. They will come. Because as has been explained, the step by step, automatically your consciousness goes deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, in the lessons that Master wrote, there was a particular visualization of the spiritual eye that has been mentioned. And it has been, I will just explain it in a sentence, but actually you need to meditate on this for a longer time in your meditations. And he said that once you're sitting in meditation and you are fixed to some extent at the spiritual eye, visualize a golden colored light or a yellow blazing light, which is in the form of a ring. And that ring is 50 feet wide. And so imagine yourself that you are at the center of a blazing ring of yellow bright golden light. It's 50 feet wide. You are at the center of it. Now you are traveling so that ring is not just a two-dimensional ring. It's like a tunnel. Now enter that tunnel, and as if you were traveling 1,000 miles in a second with the speed of thought. So enter that tunnel, and after some time you will find that there is a blue colored rim which is like 25 feet in diameter. And again, it's not just a ring, it's a tunnel. So from the 50 feet wide yellow tunnel, you enter into the 25 feet wide blue tunnel of light. And again, with the speed of thought, and you travel thousands of miles into that blue tunnel. And then you find a white glimmering star inside there. And that star represents you yourself. Actually, the shape of the human body, if our hands are kept, wide like this, then the 5-pointed star, the head is the upper pole, the two arms are the two side limbs, and the two lower limbs, if our feet are kept slightly apart, those are the two spikes of the lower spikes of the star. And so then you feel oneness with that white light, and you enter that white light, and then you feel the soul is united to spirit. So we are discussing theory, but who will change this theory to practical? You will. Who will make the teachings of Yogananda alive? You will, because you want freedom. Yogananda ji is already free. He has done all of this. But he is telling us like a mathematical equation, he's literally laid down the path for us. But we have to walk it. And don't magnify in your mind that it is difficult. It is because you have been saying it is difficult, it appears to be difficult. If one human can do it, other humans can also do it. So therefore, and remember, the soldiers of Krishna are like Krishna. We are all soldiers of Krishna. We are as powerful in our soul as Krishna. Nothing is more difficult for us. If it is easy for Krishna, he is guiding us. It is easy for Master. It can be easy for us, provided we put in our energy, effort, attention, and mindfulness, and of course our heart into it, and we will all be successful. Sooner or later, that is the destiny of each human being. Okay, so coming to shloka number 14. Prashantatma vigattabhi brahmachari vrate sthita mana sanyamya machitto yukta asita matpara. योगी को प्रशांत अंतःकरण और निर्भयता पूर्वक ब्रह्मचर्य में दृढ़ता की स्थित होकर संयमित मन से चित्त को मुझ में लगाकर मुझे ही परम लक्ष्य मानकर मुझ पर ध्यान करते हुए स्थिर बैठना चाहिए. With serenity and fearlessness, with steadfastness in brahmacharya, with the mind controlled, with the thoughts centered on me, the yogi should sit meditating on me as the final goal. So, 3 layers in this shloka. Most important, Krishna is declared, I am the final goal. So, of course, Krishna is not the body of Jadava, the Krishna, but Krishna consciousness. Secondly, he says that you have to practice 4 important things. One is serenity, the other is steadfastness, then there is brahmacharya, and there is self-control. So these are the practices. So these are the basic foundational practices. And then he says, fix your mind on me. So the second activity is saying that with all the meditative asanas and with everything, you come and fix on me and know me as the final goal. So if we do understand these things, then automatically we will attain the final goal. And talking about, brahmacharya. So brahmacharya, Master has given a metaphysical meaning to brahmacharya here. So most of us understand brahmacharya as the strict practice of celibacy, of restraining your senses and a self-disciplined life. That is what we commonly understand of brahmacharya, and that is the kind of life that monks and nuns do live. But what about the householder? The householder is advised actually in the Gita later, and most scriptures is advised moderation. So then what is brahmacharya for the householder? So another translation of brahmacharya is the acharan or the behavior that leads to Brahman, which is in attunement with the Brahman. So what kind of behavior would be that? So all this control of all the senses. Okay, we keep moderation in sexuality, but then control of senses, that means we should avoid overindulgence in any of the sense pleasures. Lead a moderate life, lead a temperate life. And once we do that, then we can also, the goal of self-realization is equal for the muni, for the monk and for the householder. So here is the other meaning of brahmacharya, and Master gives another metaphysical meaning. He says actually, when we say Brahman, so what is the tangible thing that represents Brahman? That is the sound of Om, the cosmic vibratory emanations, which is the representation of God himself, and according to the Bible, which is the witness of the presence of God himself, that inside the vibration of Om or Amen or Amin lies the Christ consciousness. And by techniques of meditation, like the Om techniques, which we are taught on the path of Paramahansa Yoganandaji's Kriya Yoga, there is this technique of Om meditation where you can feel that cosmic vibration, you can become one with vibration. So coming back to brahmacharya vrata, so acharya is acting on the path. Brahman here he is saying is attuning yourself with the sound of Om, which represents Brahman, and vrata means fixing or taking a vow. So kind of all yogis, whether they are monks or whether they are householders, can do this brahmacharya, means walking on the path of attunement with the sound, cosmic sound of Om, wherein automatically they will be taken above the level of the senses, mind, and all duality. So this is the brahmacharya mentioned here at a deeper level by Yoganandaji. And he also explains that how, when we chant the word Om, we can either do it physically at the verbal level, at the speaking level, as we do, and which is in front of all mantras we chant, or we can simply chant Om. The second is we chant it in a whisper. The third level is that we mentally keep chanting Om. And the fourth superconscious level is the level that Master is talking here, the level of the brahmacharya, is that you come in attunement with the inner sound of Om, the vibratory sound that the yogi can hear inside himself, and he can also hear that sound continuous from within and without. As you know, he will feel as one sound, one vibration present everywhere. And that everywhere present vibration is him also. So the yogi can go to that level of brahmacharya and be one with the sound of Om. That is the deeper meaning of this particular shloka. So again, read what Master has said. He said, an avowed man of renunciation, fearlessly with serene heart and controlled mind, can think of God as his supreme goal. But in a higher state, the yogi becomes one with God, having found the Lord through Om and its pratipadya. So pratipadya is the cosmic bliss that follows the perception of the sound of Om. So once you have attuned yourself to the cosmic sound of Om and you have gone deeper, you have become one with it, that is, you have reached Om Samadhi, then beyond that you will feel the bliss that is present in every atom of creation and beyond, and that is called Pratipadya. And he says then he achieves complete liberation. Okay, so this brings us to shloka number 15. युञ्जनैवं सदात्मानं योगी नियतमानस शान्तिं निर्वाणपरमां मत्संस्थामधिगच्छति. आत्मशासित योगी, जिसका मन पूर्णता उसके वश में है, इस प्रकार ध्यान द्वारा अपनी आत्मा को अविरत रूप से परमात्मा के साथ एकता में लगाए हुए रखकर मेरे अस्तित्व की परम शांति, सर्वोच्च निर्वाण को प्राप्त करता है. The self-governed yogi, he whose mind is fully under control, thus engaging his soul in ceaseless meditative union with spirit, attains the peace of my being, the final nirvana or deliverance. An interesting point to note here is the word nirvan. So mostly people associate this word with the teachings of the Buddha, because he said that nirvana is that freedom. So he gave the four noble truths where he said there is suffering in this world and the cause of suffering is desire or trishna. And third, he said that nirvana is the solution to end the suffering. And of course, the fourth truth was that one has to follow the eightfold noble path. So people think that nirvana is something different than what liberation is, or that what is moksha is different. But actually, the word nirvana has been itself used by Sri Krishna, and of course, by historical dating, we know that Sri Krishna came much before Lord Buddha. And therefore, this is just a play of words. The meaning is the same: final liberation, moksha, nirvana, or attaining the true self, self-realization, God realization. All of these words can be used interchangeably, and therefore you should not segregate them as to, okay, nirvana will only be in Buddhism and we will only attain to moksha. Actually, both are meaning the same thing. So here is something important that Master says. He says, for this shloka, he says, by practicing the eightfold yoga, the devotee first experiences ecstasy for a short time. By deeper practice, he is able to stay in that ecstasy for a longer time. And the point comes where he actually at will can go into the state of ecstasy and stay there and stabilize there. And this is the point where Sabhikalpa Samadhi or Savikalpa Samadhi is experienced. So for all of us also, we may have, when we start to learn meditation and we start to practice a bit, we do start to feel peace, we start to feel some joy, we start to feel movement of energy within us, we start to feel that our mind is getting more stabilized and calm, and all of those changes. So yes, in the beginning you will have glimpses of these feelings, but as you meditate more and more, you will be able to consciously have these feelings for a longer period of time at a shorter frequency of meditation. Means Earlier it may take you, let's say, half an hour to actually get into the mode of peace, but as you keep meditating, within 5 minutes, within first 7 minutes, you're able to touch that zone of peace. And a point comes where, when you have so much, the word uses self-governed yogi, where you have gained so much mastery over yourself, that just at the moment as you sit, and as you just close your eyes, you gaze at the point between the eyebrows, and you can easily go into that state of perfect peace beyond all duality. So these are the stages. And then finally, he also mentions, he says that, but God doesn't want that people should be always in Savikalpa Samadhi. If nobody is doing anything, then the purpose of this drama of life is not fulfilled. So for some who are eager for further freedom, there is a phase which is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And Nirvikalpa Samadhi is that state that not only during meditation, but even during daily actions and working in this transactional world, the yogi can maintain his oneness with the cosmic consciousness at all times. He can, as a witness, watch his body, doing work, speaking, eating, and everything, always knowing that the doership belongs to somewhere else. And also he can watch his body going into sleep, waking up from sleep, engaging with the world, not engaging with the world, and all of this. So from the life of Paramahansa Yogananda, we know that he had all these phases where people would register that he doesn't sleep. Even if he appears to be sleeping, he's not actually asleep. As witness consciousness, he is always awake. So whatever the body may do, that awareness, that witness consciousness stays. And this, in the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the yogi is able to fulfill the drama of life as well as be one with the Lord. And that is eventually our goal, is to go through all these steps, where starting from intermittently experiencing peace, to deepening the peace, to going into that peace at will, and then going into a stage where, whether you are sitting in meditation or acting, it feels just the same to you, that oneness is unbroken because of ceaseless efforts in meditation. Such a yogi is spoken of as having attained the supreme state of nirvana, or complete ego extinguishment. The soul does not vanish, but retaining its individuality, expands into spirit. Nirvana signifies the final extinction by destruction of all rebirth, making unfulfilled desires of the karmic causes that compel a soul to reincarnate. Okay, so we come to shloka number 16. Natyashnatastu yogo asti, na chaikantamanashnata, na chati swapnashilasya, jagrato naiva charjuna. हे अर्जुन, बहुत अधिक खाने वाला, बहुत कम खाने वाला, स्वभावतः अति सोने वाला और अति कम सोने वाला, इनमें से कोई भी योग में सफल नहीं होता. O Arjuna, the gourmand, the scanty eater, the person who habitually oversleeps, the one who sleeps too little, none of these find success in yoga. So herein starts the instructions of Sri Krishna to be moderate and temperate in everything that we do. So he has taken up two important things here, sleeping and eating. Now, for many people, these are the two most important activities of daily life. In fact, so many hours in a day, this is exactly what many people are doing. So now Krishna is warning here. Do you want to become a yoga ruddha? Do you want to be a sthit pragya? Do you want to go to that state where you're of stabilized wisdom? Do you want to have oneness with of the soul with spirit? If yes, then you should not overeat and you should not undereat. So of course we know overeating will lead to diseases. Why not undereat? Because undereating will lead to malnourishment. A malnourished body will not be a good vehicle to find God or to go towards moksha or nirvana. And this is what Buddha also discovered. Now he did difficult austerities and tapasya, that he became a skeleton, and he was almost going to pass out when the little girl came to the forest and offered him kheer. And having offered him kheer, when he felt a little alert and active, he said, I know that it is the middle way which will work. Extremes will not work. And also you need the agency of the body because it is the vehicle for the soul temporarily. And it is through the agency of this body-mind complex that one is going to attain final freedom. And therefore, it is important that we take care of the body. Our diet should be proparitarian. It should be balanced on the one end. And of course, as a yogi, we should have a sattvic diet as well. So having a comprehensive diet, a diet which is rich in prana, a diet which is not very complex, so that it is easy on digestion, absorption, assimilation, and a diet which is also light on the mind. If you eat very heavy food, if you eat tamasic or rajasic food, you're going to feel very sleepy after food. And so how will you meditate? No. If you had too much rajasic food, you will have too many restless thoughts. So important thing is to have a proper diet which suits your system and is also sattvic in nature, means light and easily digestible, and also keeps your mind fresh. So both overeating and undereating should be avoided. The other thing he talks about is oversleeping and undersleeping. The people who oversleep want to sleep more. So note this tendency in yourself. The more you sleep, the more you want to sleep. So therefore, you must, we know that a normal adult needs maximum of 6 to 8 hours of sleep, depending on each person individually. If you're going beyond that, then of course you are dulling your mind, and your body will also not behave very nicely. But and on the other hand are the people who are so much in stress these days. They have bad sleep cycles and they are not able to sleep. They are also living on the edge of their nerves. We know for meditation, relaxation is an important prerequisite. If people do not sleep well, then their mind is not able to touch the superconsciousness of deep sleep. And therefore, if they do not touch deep sleep, they don't feel recharged, and their nerves are always on the edge. And therefore, when they sit to meditate, either the relaxation will induce sleep in them because that's all they know, or their mind will be so restless that they are not able to do single-pointed concentration. Therefore, be moderate and temperate, specifically in eating and in sleeping, as is mentioned in this shloka. The master says, avoiding all excesses in the enjoyment of the senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, the advanced yogi is able to go consciously beyond the state of sleep and thus to enjoy the unending bliss of the superconsciousness. So, of course, a person who can at will go into superconsciousness needs lesser sleep. If you're a yogi who is regular in practice, you will find that your need of sleep is not the regular 6 to 8 hours. 4 to 5 hours is good. For some, 3 to 4 hours may be good. But the important thing is you should feel fresh and you should be ready for the day. So there are no fixed rules. These things can be individualized. Just check with your own level of energy, vitality, clear thinking, and focus of mind. All of these will determine how fresh you are, how ready you are for life, and therefore, accordingly, must make the necessary adjustments and stick to them. Shloka number 17. युक्तहार विहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः. जो व्यक्ति विशेष नियम पूर्वक आहार, विश्राम तथा कार्य करता है एवं सोता और जागता है, उसके लिए योग दुख नाशक सिद्ध होता है. He who with proper regularity eats, relaxes, works, sleeps, and remains awake will find yoga the destroyer of suffering. So this shloka is done at many levels. So firstly, the important thing is the destroyer of suffering. Do we want to be free from all suffering? Yes. What is the way that has been shown? But we all sleep, we all are, wake up and do our things, we all eat, we all rest, we all relax. but how much of it to do if we want to destroy the suffering of the body and mind. Then we must be temperate in everything that we are doing. Every activity that we do should be able to serve the purpose of God realization and not keep you trapped into material enjoyment, and material enjoyment leads to material suffering also. So one must remember, if I'm trying to enjoy too much of this world right now, the opposite pain is definitely going to come. And so how do I go about my day? How much of these activities should I do? That's what Krishna is saying. If you want to destroy the suffering that are arising from your contact with this world, then if you can be moderate in your eating, in your sleeping, in your working. So these days, overworking is the game. People think if they are working too much, they are workaholics, they are doing a great job. For a material success level, it may be good. Of course, we need to do hard work, and of course, we have to earn. Our responsibility has to be fulfilled. We have to earn, but that does not mean that you compete so much with others that you are, you have become a workaholic. What are you working for? You must ask yourself. If your needs are being fulfilled, is there really need to do so much overwork? Of course, we have to work, but you can strike a balance. Learn to go to the point where you're doing enough work that it gives you some satisfaction, plus you are able to fulfill the responsibilities of your family, plus you have some savings for any future. So once you have this covered, then beyond that, just working for the sake of God knows what. You don't know why you're working. So check all of these duties, all of this work is eventually should take us finally to the search for God. And if that is not being met, then overwork will not help. And also, if you're so much worked up, then your nerves are always on the edge. People have nervous breakdowns. There is so much stress relating to work. So therefore, cut down whatever you can. And in that available time, utilize your energy, your attention, your breath, every minute that you have towards the search of the infinite for which you have actually taken birth in this life. The cause of your birth should be fulfilled rather than just money in the bank. What does any changing digital number in your bank account, does it really give you more happiness? You must ask yourself. If the numbers multiply, if the zeros add in my bank account, how much more happiness will I have? Will I have peace in my heart? No. So therefore, of course, have a reasonable amount of money, but then go more after God realization. Try to balance your life in every which way. And these are clearly mentioned by Sri Krishna here. Now, the second metaphysical meaning of this shloka comes where Master has associated all of these activities, including eating, relaxing, working, with our breath and our prana. So he says eating actually means eating of prana through our breath. So it should be proper, as in our breath is usually so inharmonious, shallow, fast, because we are dealing with the stressful world. So it is important, if we want to distill oxygen and energy out of our breath, then we must eat the breath properly. Means we should have harmonious breathing patterns, and all the pranayams that yoga practice has, simple pranayams like diaphragmatic breathing or anulom vilom, or all of these, there's so many of them, thousands and thousands. All of them will help to bring harmony in the astral body, and that harmony will help you to control the mind. Therefore, eating should be moderate and temperate. That means your breathing should be in a smooth way, in a harmonious way. Most of us are not even aware of our breath, but the yogi should be alert and aware. The yogi should be alert. How am I breathing right now? And let me correct my breathing. Let me just do a double breath intention and then relax my body and go into a proper breath. Also, the breath is so beautiful because it brings us to the present moment. It is always happening. Whenever our mind is scattered, we can just come back to our breath and come to the present moment right now. And then take few deep breaths, long breaths, harmonize the prana, and you will be able to get more energy out of it. The second also, he says, is relaxes well. So relaxes moderately. Here also master says, when the pran and the apan are balanced, when the incoming breath and the outgoing breath are equalized and harmonized, then the breath automatically relaxes. And this is the deeper meaning of relaxation as given in this shloka. The third point he said is works again. So the breath work, your breath work should be smooth and should be harmonious, and this you can do with many pranayams as we have talked earlier. And then sleeps. So what is this sleep moderately? So sleep here, he has said that normally we think that this world that we are living is the waking world, and the dreams that we have when we sleep, that is the dream world. But most Upanishads and the scriptures will tell you that even this is a dream world. So the sleeping that he's talking about is that right now we don't know, but we are sleepwalking. That the dream world and this conscious waking world is actually the dream state. And when we say that we must be awake, that we must go beyond these states by using the agency of the prana, we go into the stillness of the breath and we touch the super consciousness, and that is where we actually awaken from the dream of life and from the even lower dream state. So that is the deeper metaphysical meaning of this shloka. With this, we will end today's class. And as always, we will share the blessings that we have received with soul friends, with all souls who are in need around the world. Let us share our peace, our love and blessings, and the grace of God and Gurus with everyone, everywhere. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, beloved Krishna, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Om. 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 Divine Mother, beloved Krishna, great Gurus, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.